My name is Nate Hibbert, and today we're going to be talking about picking a direction for your print-on-demand business. And today I'm going to take a small step back, and whether you've been taking action with this 100 listing idea or you've still been mulling it over or waiting to get your account or wherever you're at in this process, I wanted to add something else to think about, while you're actively making these listings or ready to start making these listings. And that thing I want to talk about is picking a direction for your print-on-demand business. And to me, that kind of seems like an overwhelming thing to do. Like, okay, we're going to set this course and we're not going to vary off of it. We're just going to, we want to do this with our print-on-demand business, or I personally want to do this with my print-on-demand business, and there's going to be nothing that can sway me otherwise. And that's not really the idea that I'm trying to put out there. And almost the opposite of that, I want you to pick a direction you think you want your business to go in, and then give yourself grace to pivot, whether you think it's worth continuing on that direction or not. So I think that's a pretty simple concept, but I did want to give some examples from our business and the way that I started this thing off, just to help give some context to this idea. When I first started out with print on demand, the thing that really attracted me to this business model was, one, I could do it from anywhere, and two, I wouldn't have to deal with clients anymore. I was working at a screen printing company at the time, and I had to do a lot of one-on-one work with clients to figure out what ideas they had in their head and how we could translate that to whatever apparel they were printing on. And while that was very rewarding for a time, and I really did enjoy it, there were a few customers and clients that I had to work with that just made that job seem very tedious after, revision 85 of something that we worked on. There was literally one client that I had the entire time that I had that job, like a year and a half, and that whole time I just kept going back and revising this job. The only reason the boss allowed me to do that was because he was such a big client of theirs and made so many orders that, like, this one ideal shirt that he had, he was okay with me like almost every week doing a new revision and giving it back to this guy. He was very stubborn, but he did a lot of business for us, so we kind of just dealt with him. But some clients like that made me not want to work with clients as closely as I was. So that was one of the things that attracted me to print on demand. And so that was kind of the direction I had envisioned that I would take print on demand, where it was just, me working on my laptop, making designs, sending them out to, Amazon, all these other platforms, and kind of being behind the scenes. Not so much, the client work, but just providing stuff for these organic places that we could find, organic traffic places that we could find, and making a living that way. And that's definitely the way it started, but that is not where it's evolved to today. We're doing much more than that. And that's simply because we gave ourselves grace. After I brought Steven into the business with me, we gave ourselves grace to just pivot into different directions. At some points, we definitely pivoted too much. We would see a shiny thing over here and go for that, or over here and, change our direction completely 180. Now we're going this direction. So we're not saying that's the best thing to do, but I think we learned a lot of lessons along the way. And I think one thing that me and Steven do very well, after all the failures that we've had and direction switching that we've done, is that we come together and we just say, okay, what was the positives of that experience and what were the negatives of that experience, and how can we use this information to move forward? And I think that's an incredibly powerful tool and strength to have when inside of print on demand, where we can take action on ideas very quickly, and we can see where the results from them, over a few months, and be like, okay, let's sit down and see, is this something we want to continue to do? What's the positives and the negatives of that? And then take that information and allow us to pivot, hopefully a little bit more slightly these days than just 180 complete turn. But that's kind of the backbone of the way we run our business, and what's allowed us to do all these things, from, going back into client work and doing that, to setting up complete Shopify stores, or just listing shirts for people on Amazon and other print on demand platforms. But now on the complete other end of that spectrum, making these YouTube videos and trying to educate people, online about what we are doing. This is definitely not something that I envisioned when we first, started making print on demand listings, that this would be so fulfilling for me and Steven, of teaching others how to make money with this platform or this way of selling online, and how much fun and enjoyment it has brought to the business for us to connect with you guys, see the success that you're having, and kind of have some validation for ourselves that, these things that we're doing and applying to our business aren't just unique to us. I think there's a lot of things that me and Steven do that are unique to our business, but there are some principles and things that we're sharing with you guys that we're seeing you guys have success with, and so that is very rewarding and a little bit validating for us as well, just to be like, okay, we are learning lessons, and these lessons are actually helping other people, which is a really cool thing to do. And we want to do that in a lot of other spaces, not just print on demand, but currently that's where a lot of our time, effort, and energy is going towards, and so that's what we're trying to teach you guys on. But off of my little rant and back to the topic of this video, which is picking a direction for your print-on-demand business. And the advice that I'm trying to leave you guys with today, because of all the failures that we've had, is yes, it's important to sit down and think about the direction that you want to head in, but don't be afraid to pivot and actually give yourself grace to pivot. If you see something else that you want to try out, do that for a period of time, put a time limit on it, and then look at the pros and cons. Is this better than what I was doing before, or is it not as fruitful as what I was doing before? And then you can go back to that thing that you were doing, or you can do the 180-degree turn that me and Steven have done several times over this business, and just see that direction through. But especially in print on demand, we don't want you guys to feel like you're just pigeonholed into one thing. Like, I make sure it's for this one customer base and that's all I know, that's all I'll ever have to do. You can definitely do that thing if it's bringing you joy, but for me and Steven, I think the reason we like this type of business is it allows us to pivot, slightly or major, and try out these new ideas that come up in our heads, or work with different people in new ways where we see a need and we're not quite sure how to fill it, but we feel like we have the tools in our tool belt to kind of figure things out with them. So kind of a shorter video today, but I just wanted to continuously give you guys some encouragement and some insight to how me and Steven have run our business, and just think about things that I wish someone would have told us when we first started off. That's really what these videos are for. It's just a catalog of things that come to my head, like, oh my gosh, like, I wish that I knew when I started this business that I didn't just have to do this one thing, and there are possibilities that will come, and opportunities that are going to come that I can't even fathom at this moment, but giving myself grace to be like, okay, like, yeah, let's try and help this person out, or, oh, that's an interesting trend that we're seeing, how does that affect, all of our other niches, just these things that at the beginning I wasn't giving myself the grace, or, the opportunity to even try them out, and so I think that's an important thing to do. I think Steven is very good at that and has kind of showed me the power of just trying things out for a time, looking at them and seeing, okay, what's the positives and the negatives of this, even writing it down if you have to. That's a big thing that I do, is write down these things so they're like committed, and I can go back and look at, like, okay, why did I make this decision? Oh yeah, because this is what I thought the positives were, and this is what I thought the negatives were, but I wasn't seeing the whole picture. So now that makes sense why I made that decision back then, and maybe why I have to go back to doing some of the things that I thought weren't so important. So yeah, we're in this time of evolving our business as it's coming close to the end of the year. We're getting ready to, do some cool new things next year, and just looking at a lot of the decisions that we've made and how that can help us moving forward make better decisions. And so I just want to give you guys some advice. If you're just starting off, or if you're in your business for a while and you're like, we've just set our path and we're going this way, maybe give yourself some grace to pivot a little bit, and see what possibilities are out there. And then, of course, come back and just make sure, is this something that I want to do, or should I go back to, the way I was doing things? So hopefully you guys appreciate that little tidbit, that little thought that I had while looking back at some advice that I wish I had when we first started out. And if you enjoyed this, let me know down in the comments. I can definitely do this some more. Just think back, look at some of my old notes, see some of the stuff that I wrote down that was important to us when we first started out, and we can share that more here, or we can talk about, partnering with other people and kind of the stuff that we have going on right now. We have lots of possibilities of stuff that we can make content on, but we want to make sure that it's working for you guys watching the video, taking the time out of your day to watch this, which we appreciate greatly. We just want to make sure that you guys are getting value, out of the time that you're spending with us.